All right, so back to some of the homeless facts. This is part two of the class. Remember, you guys, this is an in-person class. Um, because of COVID, there is the ability to watch from afar, but I do recommend you come in person if you are having some of those problems that come up, such as the video stream or anything of that nature. If you do have COVID, obviously don't come to class, but the essence being make sure to finish all of your papers and all of the work needed for assignments and you should be good, but remember, it is a live and in-person class. This stream is only for COVID, so it's just kind of a backup. So do not rely upon it. In person is much more important, just to get everything. So, getting back to the homeless facts. Some of the populations at risk, as we'd mentioned before, is those who have been in a domestically violent relationship, also those who have mental illness, and then anyone who has a substance use disorder, and veterans. Um, so some of the human rights and justice things that come up. So there is homelessness linked to factors such as lack of affordable housing. This year more than any, and we've already done a demonstration on Zillow.com, you can see how much houses have risen. So go to Zillow.com, Zillow, and search your neighborhood you grew up in, and then look at a history of the house prices. And most of that is from inflation, which is printed money. So the lack of affordable housing, poverty, and low income. So in the pandemic, we did give out a lot of checks. And those checks were linked to poverty this year because the increase in the money supply last year have made the cost of goods go up because we have the same number of goods, but now we have almost double the money supply. So things have become twice as expensive. Gas, for example, was $1.50 last year. It's $3. Bread was like $1, now it's $2. Milk was like $2, now it's $4. Things of that nature. One last thing is like the social issues such as substance use, mental illness, and domestic violence are things that we as social workers offer treatment and therapy for. Some more of the unemployment facts. The unemployment rates underestimate joblessness, the impact on family relations and separation, divorce and desertion. That definitely affects folks. The expansion of low-wage part-time positions without medical or retirement benefits, that came up a lot more in, even with the Affordable Care Act, we've noticed some of that increasing. And then there is the in social work and unemployment, we help connect people to unemployment benefits so they could receive unemployment compensation. That came up more during COVID. Also, workers' compensation. That was some of the stuff that had come up during COVID that we increased and passed laws to get more money out there. Also, the employee assistance program. So this is counseling for if you have like personal and family counseling issues for stress, mental health, and then chemical dependency. Also, the transition services for dealing with job stress. So like different things they do for training folks that was helpful. And that's some of the details that social workers and the government can assist with. Now, some of the criminal justice facts, we mentioned our criminal justice system. I've suggested you guys watch 13th. I'll do a trailer for that here, but this is about law enforcement, court, and the correction officers. We have punishment versus the rehabilitation policy. And those are some of the things that 13th addresses that's specifically to the criminal justice situation. So here is the trailer for 13th.
I drink mushrooms every morning. I used to drink a lot of coffee, but I got honest with myself.
1 out of 4 human beings with their hands on bars in the world are locked up here in the land of the free.
Khalif Browder was walking home from a party when he was stopped by police.
Then they said, we're going to take you to the precinct, and most likely we're going to let you go home. And then I never went home.
13th Amendment to the Constitution makes it unconstitutional for someone to be held as a slave. There are exceptions, including criminals.
The loophole was immediately exploited. What you got after that was a rapid transition to a mythology of Black criminality.
Animals, beasts that needed to be controlled.
You better believe it.
It became virtually impossible for a politician to run and appear soft on crime.
The kinds of kids that are called super predators.
Millions of dollars will be allocated for prison and jail facilities.
3 strikes and you are out. It was an enormous burden on the Black community, but it also violated a sense of core fairness.
States were required to keep these prisons filled, even if nobody was committing a crime.
It's so difficult to talk about mass incarceration because it has become heavily monetized. The focus is on taking people from prison, putting them in community corrections, parole, and probation.
How much progress is it really? Now there's a private company making money off the GPS monitor.
We now have more African Americans under criminal supervision than all the slaves back in the 1850s.
We are the products of the history that our ancestors chose. We are products of that set of choices that we have to understand in order to escape from.
Only human after all.
So that's a documentary on Netflix about the 13th Amendment that you guys can watch for free. It kind of details the 13th Amendment to the United States and some of the criminal justice facts that we're going over in chapter 11 here. So some of the other facts for criminal justice, we have some challenges for special population groups. Specifically older prisons, persons with mental illness and mental retardation, also sex offenders, and then incarceration of men and women with children. So those are some of the areas where social workers will help out in the criminal justice system. We also have an outline here of some of the things where when the police get involved, they're trying now to more often include a social worker. So on the graph here, and I'll enlarge it because it's a little hard to see from yours, but you guys all have access to this in your book. So like with police, there's the investigation, arrest, and booking, release without prosecution if there is no evidence. Then if they do get to court, the prosecution and defense, there's the initial court appearance and preliminary hearing. The charges are dropped and dismissed if there's nothing. Bail and detention. If it's a grand jury and there's no indictment, the charges could be dismissed. And there's also arraignment in the court system. You could have a guilty plea after the trial. You could be acquitted. Sentencing, you could also appeal it and then go on with parole. And then there could be also time in the penitentiary or parole if you're an adult, probation if you're a juvenile, pardon and clemency if needed, and that's when you're in the correction system, and a lot of social workers also get involved. So there are some details in social work and criminal justice. There is a lot of work done with police and social workers. That's why I brought the gentleman in 2 weeks ago to speak on his work with social workers. One of our internships in Cincinnati offers the ability to work in the homicide department through Cincinnati Police Department. There's also forensic social workers, and there's probation and parole officers, social workers in correctional facilities, and then there is other crime victim advocates as a social worker, juvenile diversion programs, and there's even mediation for victims and offenders. So, and then if needed, witness protection program. So that's some of the things that social workers get involved with, some of the work that is done. This, class kind of details a lot of that. By Tuesday, I'm going to put up your paper that's due on the 21st for the work. I actually may put it up today along with your final. And it's the diversity paper, and then the final exam is a self-reflection paper. So again, I am in person. I'm here every day. We're on the 3rd floor of Wesley Hall. That's also where my office is. All the assignments are open for you guys, so if you have to complete anything, and you are able to continue to work. I wanted to leave this time for you guys to do the work needed to catch up. So I will see you next week.